Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The final series of the day here between Colo's team that won Cup 1 and Cloud9, of course, that won Cup 2. Chanimal versus Colo, and as you were predicting a little bit earlier, Venruki, we might actually want to see Snuts coming in here, because the MLD, the Magelog Druid, was what was defeated here by Resurgent, formerly known as Never Lucky. Maybe Snuts finally gets his time to appear on stage.
Well, it just felt like Resurgent, they knew exactly what they wanted to do against Magelog Druid, and when they beat Cloud9 in the first cup, I believe it was, of the summer season, it looked hopeless. I mean, for Cloud9, it was clinically executed by Resurgent. Cloud9 really didn't have much of a chance, and we are going to see Snuts on the Rogue. I mean, this
Rogue is back, boys.
What? You've had really good
How old is that?
Today,
How old does that mean?
I love it.
Yeah, I have had really good predictions. You're right. It has nothing to do with the monitor beside me that shows a little bit of the information.
Oh, that new monitor that they added next to you? It tells you? Oh, yeah.
Venruki on point today. We'll have to see which one of these two teams is on point to match. Snuts coming in on the Rogue, and it's very worth emphasizing. I think this is the first time we've seen Snuts, certainly this season.
What does your magic monitor say about the prediction for the outcome of this game? This is where we find the truth.
I'm going to go ahead and predict a 3-0 in favor of Cloud9.
3-0?
Yep. I'm going for it.
I'm going to have to tell Colo about this.
What's your prediction, Sid? You can't throw that out and not give your own.
Well, my brain is telling me Cloud9, but my heart is telling me Colo. This is such a tough divide.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, I don't actually doesn't want to give a prediction.
I just want Colo to play with Arena with me afterwards, and I don't want to talk him too much.
Zach's already used his Trinket and his Greater Sacrifice onto Majidin. It's been good lockdown on the side of Cloud9 so far. Majidin is getting dominated by Snuts and Wealthy Man. Lots of pressure. What are they going to do? They need to find some crowd control on the Cubs. He's already traded out his Trinket, but you can see Wealthy Man, he's full hit points. Colo finally lands a kidney shot, but it gets cycloned on it. Polymorph on Zach. Majidin's still in a lot of trouble. Big Comet Storm Ice Nova combo from Wealthy Man. Majidin in a lot of trouble. There's a cheap shot over on Zach. He's got the Divine Shield. Doesn't use it. Big heal. Did you see that heal?
Yep, heals are pretty big right now. Holy Paladin is also looking surprisingly good. I was estimating that Paladin and Druid would be pretty close to each other. It seems like Paladin can at least go toe-to-toe into the deeper dampening stages. This will be really the test if Zach's Paladin can run the course against Cloud9. Snuts gets to make his return. Finally, we get to see the myth, the legend, the BlizzCon champion himself in the arena, dishing out tons of pain here towards Majidin. Temporal Shield is going to go off, but it didn't do too much. Zach comes out of the Polymorph. He needs to connect some big heals, but there's a counterspell waiting for him. Not going to land on that Holy Light, but every Holy Light is a chance for Wealthy Man to snipe and interrupt. Actually uses his counterspell on Majidin. Now Zach can freely heal. Snuts tries to stall it with Smoke Bomb, but it got pre-Blessing of Protection. Beautiful play by Zach.
Yeah, nicely done. Wealthy Man needs to try to get that off as soon as he can, but Majidin was getting good polymorphs onto Wealthy Man, denying that spell steal. Now an attempt over onto Snuts. Snuts trinkets and uses his Cloak of Shadows to survive. That's looking cooldowns. Zach still has his Divine Shield. He still has his Trinket. This isn't actually looking that bad for Resurgent. They could go for an all-in attempt onto Snuts. Keep in mind, Colo has the Vendetta and Snuts has no Trinket, but they trade out Blind, defensive Blind. Onto Snuts, interesting choice there. Polymorph on Zach right now. Majidin could be in a little bit of a trouble. So I guess they traded out the blind to try to stall out the damage, try to allow Majidin to hold on, safeguard procs. He's got the Temporal Shield. He's not using it though. I feel like there's plenty of opportunities to use Temporal Shield in that situation, but Zach's heals are going to be strong. Now it looks like Resurgent, they realize they're not getting anything done going after Wealthy Man, making an attempt now over on the Snuts.
All right, let's see what they can get done. Snuts is looking a lot more vulnerable. Getting evasion, Cloak of Shadows already out of the way. There's potential here for Resurgent in game number 1. And what does that spell for Cloud9? I think it spells trouble because we've already seen Resurgent dismantle their Mage Warlock Druid. If they can also defeat the Rogue Mage Druid, I mean, what other compositions does Cloud9 really have at their disposal? It's really not much. Rogue Warlock, I mean, Resurgent might be the thorn in Cloud9's side, one of the only teams to actually defeat them, and it's with this Rogue Mage Paladin. Maybe they have to mirror them. Perhaps this series actually comes down to a mirror if Resurgent can beat Cloud9 in game 1.
I feel like Cloud9's winning this game
I mean,
quite heavily. I mean, Divine Shield, The greatest sacrifice comes in onto Majiden.
Biggest mistake.
I don't think things are looking too bad for Cloud9.
Big throw, potentially.
Yeah, Hammer of Justice over onto Cubsy. Good polymorph snuck in there by Majiden. Snuts is actually in a little bit of trouble. Cubsy, of course, got the preemptive Ironbark over onto Snuts, but he's got no Cloak of Shadows. Gladiator Safeguard procs against his pals. Snuts in a lot of trouble, and they did it! Cubsy didn't trinket. He was just holding on to his trinket for a rainy day. Snuts eventually fell. They relied on that Safeguard, but Safeguard is just such a massive shield. I feel like a lot of the teams, they're like, I got Safeguard, I'm going to be fine. But then Spell Steal comes in, or Dispel comes in, and you lose 70% of your health from that shield, and that's what happened to Snuts in the final moment.
Yeah, as called by
Trust
Sid.
your heart.
Yeah. Sid.
Trust your heart.
Yeah, and you'd have said trust your head if the other team had won, right? So
Well,
you're in a perfect
I was in a win-win situation.
Yeah. Unlike Cloud9 here, who, I mean, I was saying a few days ago that Snuts just beats me wherever I go, whether it be Classic or BFA, just always farms me. It seems like the same is true of Resurgent for him, once again pulling through with a victory in a Rogue Mage mirror, essentially, here, Zico.
Well, if we're going to be completely factual here, Impala is heavily favored in the matchup. Mainly because all it takes is one setup. All you need to do is land one setup, and usually you win the game. And this is a prime example of this. Snuts doesn't have Cloak because he used it to actually, get aggressive. Snuts gets Kidney Shot, no Trinket, and Cubsy, he actually tops off Snuts here. And then Majiden is going to land he's going to cast a Ring of Frost, which means Wealthy Man has to counterspell it. And then when he does, then Majiden is just going to cast a Polymorph, and since it's the same cast time as Wealthy Man's Polymorph, he is going to get polymorphed because Wealthy Man is trying to stop Majiden from landing it. And Majiden is going to also land his polymorph on Cubsy, and that's going to allow them to win. It's a little bit confusing there, I know, but here is the setup. Sheep onto Wealthy Man, cast Ring of Frost, Wealthy Man ice blocks CSS, gets sheeped, and he also lands the sheep because they're the same cast time. And once this CC has landed, there's not really much Cubsy can do. He can trinket here and then lose later when, blind comes off, cooldown for Colo, or he can, try to greed it there and try to let his rogue survive on his own. But yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
basically the RMD is an easier time landing setups, but once the setup lands, it's really good for the Impala.
Yeah, it was a pretty back and forth game. I think it's fair to say Majiden was low at several times. We saw definitely pressure from Cloud9, but ultimately they're the ones under pressure now at this point. The RM Paladin from Resurgent is, I think it's fair to say surprisingly good. Like, we didn't expect Colo on Rogue to be the answer for Cloud9, but it proved itself in Cup 1 and here again in Cup 3. I think this, even if this matchup is is still favored, it's probably less favored since, at the end of the day, it is Rogue Mage versus Rogue Mage. It's not like this, just sit behind the pillar and kill the Warlock in deep, deep, deep dampening. They have to do some stuff, and they're playing it pretty well.
Definitely, Resurgent is impressing me. Like I said, sometimes I'm happy to be wrong, and Resurgent proved me wrong. I said it was going to be 3-0 in favor of Cloud9. They take the first game, and let's be honest, when Cloud9 goes, the other team that Cloud9 kind of struggles against is the Mew Mew Kitty Cats, and obviously this is a composition the Mew Mew Kitty Cats run as well, so it seems like the Mage Lock Druid kind of struggles against Rogue Mage Paladin, and obviously the Rogue Mage Druid isn't necessarily the best matchup. I think it has a fair shot to win, so I wouldn't be surprised if Cloud9 just decided to go with that once again, but maybe they decide to switch it up. Resurgent comfortably locks in the same composition. Cloud9 looking for a rematch on Ashamane's Fall. And I think Cloud9 had control of most of the game, but like Zico kind of said, it just takes one good setup against the Restoration Druid, and you can win.
So do we think then the bigger map will help Cloud9 just because the Resto Druid will be able to space himself away from the Paladin a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the map is going to make a huge difference in general for either of these teams, because eventually both teams are going to be, kind of close to each other, kind of on top of each other. But obviously it's going to be helpful for sure. The main thing is, between the mages, there's basically like a mini game going on. And if Wealthy Man gets caught up in a polymorph and, Cubsy gets caught up in a Dragon's Breath or a Hammer of Justice at the same time, it's very likely that setup is going to land. And if that setup does land, then it's going to be Trinket, Cloak, Evasion from Snuts. If it lands again, it's a one game because you're going to force out Cubsy's Trinket. And then you have options. You can either blind him and kill Snuts, or you can just blind Snuts and kill Cubsy, because that's one thing as well. Like the RM Pala, because they have so much upfront burst, they hold all the cards. They can even blind Cubsy and then just pop everything on him and kill him and bop the rogue. And because Wealthy Man also has to play Klepto, he's not going to be able to just Klepto the single blessing of protection. So I feel like Resurgent, they have the pressure and they get to set the pace of the game. But Cloud9 can definitely still win if they play super good, especially if Wealthy Man outplays Majorden a lot.
I think Snuts just needs a little bit of a warm-up. He's been on the bench for some time, and now coming into the fight, give him a couple games, he'll be back online. But of course, we do have to credit Resurgent. I feel like they're just a team that has improved and improved over time, and now they've got a lot of diversity in terms of their compositions. And if they can defeat Cloud9 in this series, it gives them a good shot to actually pass Cloud9 in points in terms of the summer season and be the #1 point earners. That would be absolutely crazy for them. A drastic improvement overall. Snuts the target again. Gladiator Safeguard procced, but no real kill found there. They can hold on to the spell steal for a later time. But they've already gotten through Ironbark. They've already gotten through Cubsy's Gladiator's Medallion. Now they got to the Gladiator Safeguard. I would say that Resurgent, they're in the lead right now.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking good for Resurgent. I think going after the Rogue just seems so much better. They realized early on in game #1 that Wealthy Man wasn't taking too much damage. He did a really good job playing defensive. He's got, temporal shield. He's got double ice block. It's hard to take him down. But going after Snuts, if they just get crowd control on Cubsy, kidney shot Snuts, there's not too much that they're going to be able to get done. Wealthy Man has to do a really good job with his interrupts. Snuts could just fall. Cloak of Shadows, Ironbark overlap. Cubsy's got no trinket. There's no defensive cooldowns for Snuts whatsoever. Resurgent is one setup away from closing out the game, and they've actually changed their target. They're going to be going after Colo in this matchup, realizing going after Majorden is not working out for them so far.
Yeah, usually we see Rogue Mage mirrors as a mage race, but right now going after the Rogue appears to be the best strategy, and Cloud9 are trying to take that strategy for themselves, but they could already be a couple setups behind. Zach still has a lot of ways to deal with crowd control and save Colo. Snuts and Cubsy don't really have those options on the table. Colo on the run, trying to hold on to Zach's cooldowns for a later attempt. Cubsy's in a polymorph. Colo, is he going to move in and try and go after Snuts? He gets a re-stealth, maybe? Gets pulled out from the Blizzard. Not going to be able to capitalize on it. Walks into a kidney shot. Perfect timing for Snuts and Wealthy Man. Majorden's trying to save Colo with polymorphs on Wealthy Man. Looks like with the Blessing of Protection, it should be more than enough, but this was Blessing of Protection prior to the Vendetta, so maybe it wasn't 100% necessary. Zach getting caught in a polymorph. Maybe Resurgent falling apart here. Obviously, when you become the target, we saw Majorden focus down, and he dealt with it very well, but now that Colo is the target, perhaps he's not comfortable being the main focus. They actually use blind defensively. This is desperate from Resurgent. This is telling me that they're 100% out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, Snuts is going to get controlled up, but what are they really going to be able to get done out of that? Blind Sap on Snuts, now into full kidney shot, Hammer of Justice on Cubsy. Is there any follow-up? Unfortunately, no. Majorden can't find it, and because of that, Cubsy's able to connect the Ironbark. Now they're going after Colo once again, and Cloud9 going after Colo just seems like a much better strategy coming in from them. All of a sudden, the pressure has been lost. Majorden actually traded out an ice block in that exchange to keep Colo alive. Now he's more vulnerable. They don't even have to get through that defensive cooldown at this point of the game. Things are looking really good for Cloud9 here.
I almost wonder if he ice blocked because they want them to stop attacking Colo so Colo can do something. I almost wonder if it was maybe a bait. I mean, it also saved Colo, but it looks so much different watching Cloud9 attack Colo. It's almost as if Resurgent are standing still now. They can't even find a footing to fight back. Colo, Cloak of Shadows, no one was over there. I mean, Zach was still crowd control, but I don't think it was necessary. Colo now with only evasion. Avenging Crusader pop, but they're not. This seems totally uncoordinated. This is completely disjointed by Resurgent. Just simply attacking Colo, and Resurgent are falling apart. They try and go after, there's the Vision of Perfection Avenging Crusader from Zach. Caught me off guard there with the new essences, providing you a couple of seconds of the cooldown at a reduced duration. I'm curious to see when Resurgent look to make a push, because right now, I mean, Cloud9 are just walking all over them.
Yeah, Colo kind of wasted his trinket a little bit earlier on in the game, and now doesn't have it available. Zach forced to trade out his Divine Shield. Zach wasn't in any crowd control when Colo exchanged his trinket just 30 seconds earlier, and it just seemed like he wasted that defensive just a little bit. And this is just a commanding lead for Cloud9. Things are looking really good. Keep in mind, Smoke Bomb is available here for Snuts. So if they can catch Colo when it's done, if they have any sort of damage, it's going to be scary. Full blind now on trinkets out of that instantaneously. Kidney shot over onto Colo. Big damage coming in.
I mean, this could just be the end of the game. They've already gotten through multiple Gladiators medallions. Zach's in a polymorph first. What's Colo going to do? I mean, it just almost looks like he's lost. Like, they just targeted him.
Oh, here it is.
They go
All
for
in,
the swap.
Cubsy.
Big damage here, but Zach can't help. If they don't have Zach in there, I don't think they have enough damage. He finally gets out of crowd control. He's going to be punching away with those hammers. They have to take Cubsy out. They have to do it. It's do or die. Can they do it? Majidin needs to spell steal that Gladiator safeguard, but they can't get it. Cubsy slips around the corner, and I think Victory slips away along with them. Zach gets stunned up. Snuts mixes up the crowd control, trying to deny some of the Avenging Crusader pressure. Colo is still so low on health, but now Snuts equally so. Resurgent just need to get a game plan, just pull it together. Otherwise, I mean, it's just looking so sloppy. Just calm down, clean it up, start calling cooldowns and targets, and start making something happen. It just seems like they're so terrified.
Oh, I mean, it's not even looking that bad for them with how the game's been going. I mean, Zach has his trinket coming up, ultimate sacrifice in 30 seconds. Colo has his trinket rotating back up. That all-in attempt was really nice. If Majidin could have used the Kleptomania on that Gladiator safeguard, they could have easily just taken him down. They just need to be a little bit more patient. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Cubsy was able to survive. Now an attempt here. Double Ring of Frost gets channeled out. Unfortunately, doesn't land. Majidin now in trouble. Keep in mind, he's already used his Ice Block. Cloud9, they know this. There's no Ice Block available for another minute. They can force Zach to use his trinket, force Zach to use the ultimate sacrifice. It's going to be a really good spot for Cloud9 to be in, but there's another all-in attempt on Cubsy. Is he going to be able to live? Kidney shot into Hammer of Justice into Dragon's Breath. Cubsy in complete desperation. Barkskin, Iron Bark. Still no trinket, but a massive heal. Cubsy able to hold on, and now it's Majidin on the back foot.
Yeah, Majidin in trouble. Traded his Ice Block earlier to help Colo, and now won't have it to help himself. And he needs it right now. He's so low on health. Sacrifice from Zach, redirecting damage to himself instead, right in the nick of time. But now Majidin Cyclone at low health, pausing his health for some time. Cubsy switches to Cyclone. Cubsy, beautiful crowd control at this point in time. Colo goes for the defensive blind again. Zach is in a pod, but he breaks out. That's so unfortunate for Cloud9. Now Snuts is in trouble. No Iron Bark. He's in a Hammer of Justice. If he trinkets, he'll get blinded. Snuts low on health. Big damage. Cloak of Shadows evasion. Both cooldowns. He gets stunned on it. Colo goes for the Vanish kill. Gladiator safeguard. Where's the spell steal? They have to wait for the cloak. Doesn't look like they have the spell steal. Zach's now in a polymorph. Cloud9 could reverse this. Going after Majidin, but Ice Block came up just in the nick of time for this attack.
Majidin's going to be safe because of that. There is a combustion available, and look, Snuts, nothing. He's got nothing left to work with. Majidin could easily take him down if they land a big meteor with a kidney shot. Snuts is in a lot of trouble. Cubsy gets interrupted. Is there any crowd control on the Cubsy? Here it is, kidney shot. Majidin, big damage with Cubsy. Lands the Iron Bark that ultimately will keep Snuts alive. If they kill through Iron Bark, that's going to be a complete miracle. Blessing Protection comes in over onto Majidin before the Polymorph goes in. Good plays there by Zach. 16% dampening. Polymorph now onto Zach. Colo, he's got the Smoke Bomb, he's got Vendetta coming up in around 25 seconds. Snuts still really vulnerable here. Cubsy has to make sure he holds onto his trinket. He needs to get a preemptive Iron Bark. This is like a 4-second window where he's going to be able to get it rolling. Cheap shot onto Cubsy. Majidin, is he going to be able to get anything off of it? Unfortunately, no. They just weren't patient enough, and that setup was completely wasted.
All right, let's see. Smoke Bomb Vendetta. Big combo here for Colo. He can set up for the win. He just needs the confidence. He's got to pull it together. They've got an opportunity. 18 seconds away, though. They might just kill him. This is an insane amount of damage right now on Snuts. They Iron Bark to deal with the Vendetta, but they drop the Smoke Bomb. Where's the stun? Where is the stun? He gets stunned, but is he actually still inside the Smoke Bomb? I don't think that he is. Snuts is still just taking the pain at the moment. Iron Bark is about to fade. With its damage reduction, potentially Snuts' life. Snuts is trying to go for the kill at the same moment. So low on health. Such a dangerous moment in time, but they've got to make something happen here. Happening, getting up 22%. Mana in favor of Resurgent. Majidin pre-temporal shields, but he's stunned. Snuts sets up for the win. He's looking warmed up in game number 2. Majidin blinks away on 1%, but Cubsy jumps in, gives him a quick smack. Procking the cauterize. He's on the run. I actually can't believe he's alive right now. Zach keeps him going with the Blessing of Sacrifice, and now there's still victory on the table for Resurgent.
That was such a nice play by Snuts. He gets the Shadow Step kick on Zach, kidney shot on Majidin, almost wins them the game with that play. Unfortunately, Zach gets out of crowd control for just a second.
Oh no.
The ultimate sacrifice now an attempt here over onto Snuts. Iron Bark trades out, Fate, Cloak of Shadows. No way. This is just a big setup coming in. Cubsy's tapped on mana, and Resurgent, with the way Colo's playing, he's playing so defensive with his blinds, with everything. Is Majidin going to be able to hold on? Temporal Shield keeps him alive. Zach uses his Divine Shield. That's the last line of defense. Right now, Cloud9, they're at the finish line. Majidin blinks out. Nice Dragon's Breath. Just trying to avoid Snuts at all costs.
Oh, no.
Shadow Step over, interrupt by Wealthy Man. Cyclone on Zach. If Majidin survives here, I'm going to throw my hands up in the air. That was a nice setup by Cloud9. A lot of close calls definitely signs of life here for Resurgent, but they're going to be able to tie up the series.
Fortunately, you don't have to throw your hands up in the air. That would have been horrible.
Wait, it would have been horrible.
You would have thought that was funny, probably.
Oh, no. He had to throw his hands up in the air. It's so horrible.
I just don't care.
Wow, tragic, honestly.
I can't believe what I'm watching in that game, because it felt like Cloud9 was running all over the RM Paladin the entire game, and then the RM Paladin, they kind of rotated through everything. Like Colo I think every single blind he did was on a DPS this game. It was so defensive, such a dampening playstyle, but ultimately Cloud9, narrowly, granted, managed to pull through the victory here, Z.
Yeah, that's why I said I think the RM Pala is quite favored in this matchup. It's not really like a RMP mirror in that sense. And to be honest with you, most of this ending portion of the game, I just was looking at Colo because he was just sitting in CC the entire time. I think from this moment here until pretty much when the game ends, Colo just doesn't move his character. He gets Nova, he gets cloned, he gets cloned again, he gets sheeped, I believe. We're gonna see right there, full sheep. Actually, it's DR. He gets another sheep. I think he gets slowed as well. And he has to make his way around the pillar as well. And this entire time, Snuts is just having, a field day here. Finally, Colo connects, but Majidin gonna go down at the back of that beautiful cross CC, that Cyclone. And that's the thing, as well as the Rogue Mage Druid, that's what you have to do. You have to get Sheep on the healer and Cyclone on the Rogue, or the other way around if you're going to take down the Mage. It's quite difficult to execute without putting yourself in a situation where you're ultimately going to get globalized.
I gotta throw one more question to you, though. So we're seeing Snuts for the first time in a very long time, first time this season. How is he weighing up on the Rogue, especially against Colo in this matchup, according to you?
I mean, I think Snuts is doing a great job, but I feel like it's a hard matchup to kind of balance your offense and defense against, because sometimes you want to trinket offensively, right? But then if they land one poly, you're dead. And a lot of Snuts surviving or not is at the mercy of his mage too. If Wealthy Man can do a good job stopping Major then Snuts gets to be more offensive as well. So I think Cloud9 as a whole is just playing well in that previous game.
Yeah, well, Cloud9 tie up the series 1-1. This is the return of Snuts, ladies and gentlemen. Is it going to be Cloud9 going through to the top 4? It is our last series of the day here, tied 1-1 between Cloud9 and Resurgent, though it is worth noting that since Resurgent won Game 1, they now have the advantage going into Game 3. They will select the map and they will select their composition, knowing the composition coming out of Cloud9. I'm Healingstad, and I've been hosting for you. We have Benruki Vencel, we have Super Tease, and we have Zico on the desk for us for the final games of today. And I've got to say here in this situation that I'm actually wondering, maybe if the Rogue Mage Druid gets locked in again from Cloud9, do we think Resurgent might actually swap up to maybe a Windwalker Death Knight of their own, or do you think they'll keep running with the RM Paladin? Well, I don't even need to ask that question. The RM Paladin comes in again here. We've been saying this matchup is favored, and it does look like the smaller maps should be helping Resurgent.
Rogue Mage Paladin seems pretty good.
It does seem pretty good. I want to play it more.
Yeah. It seems good. And honestly,
get Truscus to play Paladin instead.
Yeah, that's true. We need to be playing more Paladin.
We would skyrocket.
Okay, but yeah, Paladins seem really good in this patch, in particular with this composition. I'm kind of curious to see if people utilize the Paladin in any other compositions that could be good. Maybe like a jungle with a Paladin could be good.
We saw Gelu Barbar's team running it a bit with Warrior, I think, like Warrior Fire Mage Paladin over the weekend, but
I think Rogue's just better.
Yeah, it seems like everyone's just running Rogue Mage Paladin. It's surprising, right? Because the Paladin looks really strong here, like the mana efficiency, the healing.
Any weaknesses that the Paladin may have had, it seems like Essence has sort of patched that up quite nicely. Their mana does super well. They have a lot of healing, especially when they're proccing the wings consistently like that, and they're just really durable. I mean, they have a lot of cooldowns they can rotate through. This comp just seems really strong, and I think that's good news for Resurgent in this particular match. And I think overall it's really good for Mew Mew Kitty Cats. I'm curious to see if anyone's going to be able to really contest them, because I really feel like the only composition I'm convinced can easily beat Rogue, not easily, but is a really good matchup in a Rogue Mage Paladin is Jungle, and we haven't really seen that in North America too much.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if Paladin Jungle could be good. That's a good note, because I think when Rogue Mage plays against Jungle, they can exploit the Disc Priest a fair bit, right? Like he has to play Relentless, then they can blind sap him. There's like weaknesses there, but with Paladin, we haven't actually seen anyone play that, I think. But anyways, we're tied 1 apiece here. It's the best of 5, so no team will be sent home on Dalaran Sewers, but one team will have a big lead in the advantage. I do want to ask one more question, Zico, before we do hop into the game. What do we need to see from Majorden and Colo? Because they did get controlled a lot during that last game. Like, I felt more so than in the first map.
Well, basically, Colo, he just needs to try to kidney shot Snuts on CD and create as much windows of opportunity as possible. And then when it's his turn to get kidneyed, he needs to just be running. Basically, he just needs to play around the kidney shots. And then, of course, Majorden, he needs to go for Sheeps on Wealthy Man, and then when he does land them, he needs to go for a Blink Dragon's Breath onto Cubsy, or combine it with a Hammer of Justice from Zach. But now we're going to see a nice opener here from Cloud9.
Colo actually switched off of Night Elf, and he's playing Human now with Relentless. So he has the Everyman for himself to get out of stuns, and also Relentless to just make all stuns, all crowd control a little bit shorter. And I think it's a good choice. I think it's going to be a little bit more value in this matchup than Night Elf really could be, especially if he's the main target.
Yep, definitely is going to be the case. I think Gliders Maledict is not nearly as effective to be running that Shadow Melt, so getting out of more stuns, more crowd control, definitely going to be an advantage to Resurgent to deal a lot of damage. Great chain initiated here. Snuts is isolated. They pull all of his defensive lineup and still possibly kill him. Cubsy's in a sap. Snuts' Gliders Medallion gets spell stolen off. Are they going to move to match point? Cubsy's locked down in Dragon's Breath. Colo looks to finish him off, but he's going to do it. Resurgent take it down in a quick game 3 and move to match points.
What are we watching right now? Resurgent with the RM Paladin. They're looking unstoppable no matter what Cloud9 throws at them. Even game 2 was looking so tough. Cloud9 had the game of their lives. They literally played the game of their lives and they narrowly won. Here, Snuts gets killed for all his cooldowns, see?
Yeah, and that's what happens. If one setup sneaks through, then all of a sudden, Snuts becomes a really juicy target for the RM Pala. And even if he uses Vanish like that in the end, guess what? Colo can see you.
That was great. That was
Someone gift that.
I mean, he did literally vanish cheap shot Colo at the end. You can still see him, I guess.
Well, yeah, Vendetta just allows you to see invisible targets, right? So
yeah, that's true. And
Are you saying you see better without the glasses? Is that what you just did?
listen then.
Let's not start questioning. Don't question the props here.
Okay.
These glasses are 100% real, okay?
They're
Just
authentic,
like your
they're a fashion
I watched you
statement,
buy
yeah.
them. They're real.
Yeah. Anyway, so you know what else is real? Resurgence 2-1. Oh my. 2-1 advantage here in the series. Break this one down. How did he die at the end here, Zico?
All right, so let's see the entirety of the game. So, you know, Cloud9 gets a nice little opener here. Zach, oh, he gets blinded in the frozen orb. You hate to see that. It breaks the blind, of course, so that means he can trigger whatever he wants. Colo gets the spell on the sheep. Majoring caught up in a low cyclone. Looks great for Cloud9 so far. Now Colo setting up a sheep shot onto Wealthy Man, and there it is. The Hammer of Justice into full ring. Kidney onto Snuts. He respects it. Trinket evasions immediately, but Colo vanishes off, gets the resap, gets a couple of bleeds. Klepto on the safeguard, and of course because he has Vendetta up, he can see Snuts despite being in Vanish, and he just finishes him off.
Yeah, I mean, Colo doesn't see the world the way everyone else sees the world, I guess. Like, anyone else would see Trinket Evasion Cloak as a clear sign that, hey, we forced what we're going to force, let's just reset, maybe go for a re-stealth, start again. Colo, he really goes at it. He gets the kill on Snuts there, chases him down, screaming for the kill. And whenever I talk to Colo after a series like this, he's always just so pumped up on adrenaline. He absolutely loves competing. And I mean, he'll be so pumped going into game 4 now. Cloud9 really up against it. They have to find an answer. They just don't seem to have something consistent against this RM Paladin.
Is Resurgent I guess Mew Kitty Cats, but Resurgent's, this is the second time they're going to beat Cloud9. Yeah. I mean, Cloud9 is really the team to beat right now. They won the spring finals. It's a big deal that Resurgent, they're really making a statement here today, and they might be able to make the deep run in the lower bracket and push through to the grand finals and maybe get a rematch against Yumi Kitty Cats a little bit later on, and maybe they'll have the confidence to actually go into a mirror with that.
That'd be great.
I mean, it definitely is a possibility. Here we go. Tiger's Peak will be map number 4. Right now, I mean, this is looking really good for Resurgent.
I think they should mirror.
You think they should mirror? Oh, that's a bold prediction. Do we agree with that? Like, I really want to ask this question. Like, based on the performance we've seen in the 3 games, or the 4 games now, 3 games, right? 3 games. How have the rogue mages fared up? Obviously, the healers are different. I think Zach and Cubsy have been having pretty solid games. How would you guys on the desk compare Colo and Majordin to Wealthy Man and Snuts so far in their performance in these games?
I mean, Zico can take this one because I feel like it's a really hard, like, it's a difficult comparison to make. I feel like the compositions are just really different with the way they play.
Well,
like their
Zico can take it.
That's the Canadian answer.
Yeah,
that is.
Non-confrontational, de-escalated.
The Swedish answer is, I mean, it's basically the Canadian accent. It's both teams look as good as Venruk's Thai.
Okay, there we go. That's pretty darn good in that case. So all of these teams do well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, like, everyone at home doesn't know it's actually his tie.
I think I helped you pick this one out too.
We really need to. Yeah, there's some good fashion going on this test, but we're really ripping each other apart when it comes to it. Cloud9 once again are going to lock in the Druid, though. They are playing that Rogue Mage Druid. Maybe Cubsy, honestly, doesn't really want to swap healer. He's been playing Druid literally the entire year. Has played multi-classing, but quite honestly, maybe he's just not expecting to be forced off of his Druid, especially in this meta, Sid.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was. I feel like it still is the Druid meta, unless randomly Rogue Mage Paladin just beats everything.
Maybe it does. It's looking like it.
I would have liked to have seen Resurgent mirror Mew Mew Kitty Cats. I think that would be an interesting matchup on the Rogue Mage Paladin if they can beat them in a mirror and sort of prove they're the best of that comp. If that comp ends up being the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, whatever, they're going to have to be able to beat Mew Mew Kitty Cats in a mirror. But here, Cloud9 are on match point. Cloud9 are on match point. Resurgent is one of the only teams that actually can beat Cloud9. Cloud9 looked unstoppable here in patch 8.2. Resurgent still looks strong with their Mage Rogue Paladin. Although I will say, you asked, like, what do you think of the power levels of the players? In Ashamane's, I felt like Colo totally fell apart. It seemed like he had no idea what he wanted to do. But then on Dalaran Sewers, suddenly Resurgent looked like a completely different team. So I think you have to take it game by game. You can't just say overall, like, Cubsy's the better healer, Snuts is the better rogue. It is really coming down to just every individual game.
Yep, well, Resurgent are 2-1 up, as you say, Sid, 1 game away from eliminating Cloud9 from Cup 3 here in the summer season. They've done it before. Can they do it again?
I mean, well, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, the last game was just so explosive coming in from Resurgent. Once again, going after Snuts. Kidney shot secured with a Hammer of Justice on Cubsy, but there's no follow-up. There's the blind. Cubsy trinkets out into a sap! Colo saps Cubsy's trinket. He does manage to sneak in the Iron Bark, but that was a good play. Are they going to be able to make anything happen off it? Doesn't look like it just yet, but style point.
Cloak of Shadows as well. Can they get evasion too? It would be every single cooldown if they can. Wealthy Man's trying to protect Snuts with some polymorphs, but even still, Dragon's Breath might just be enough to pull evasion. They need to get it. They're not finding it. Cubsy gets a heal now. Majordin in trouble. Pre-Blessing of Protection on the smoke bomb by Zach. That's going to allow Majordin to easily escape this attack. Cubsy repositioning. Cubsy wants to stay as far away from the Paladin as possible. It's a bit of cat and mouse between them, except the cat's the mouse in this case. You do not want to be anywhere near the Paladin. Hammer of Justice is a close range stun, and it's the initiation for Resurgent. So the longer and further away Cubsy can stay from Zach, they can stall the crowd control chain. Zach's going to use the charger to cross midfield and secure the Hammer of Justice. Cubsy is locked down. Snuts is on the run. He's trying to play defense while his healer's in crowd control. Does a good job disrupting both Colo and Majordin. Cubsy is now out of crowd control. Cloud9 have an opportunity to attack.
Yeah, kidney shot now onto Snuts. Can they get the crowd control? Dragon's Wrath, potential Ring of Frost. They find it. Snuts is in so much trouble. What is he going to be able to do? He uses Feint. He has the evasion. Not trading it out just yet. There's finally the evasion with the cheap shot on Nicolo. Right now, Wealthy Man's in full desperation. Gets the polymorph secured over on to Majordin. Colo gets caught into a polymorph, into a cyclone. Good control there by Cloud9, realizing the situation. And Snuts managed to hold onto his trinket as well, so still has that as a defensive ability if he really needs it. Majordin, safeguard procs. There's good damage here for Cloud9 as they look to reverse the pressure onto Majordin the best they can. Majordin gets healed off quite quickly though by Zach. Those Holy Paladin heals are really strong right now. Resurgent, still, they stabilize. They're going to be looking for another attempt onto Snuts quite soon. Hammer Justice on Cubsy. I don't think there's actually a Ring of Frost available, unfortunately, for Majordin to actually find any additional crowd control. He sneaks in a polymorph. Garrote over onto Snuts into a cheap shot, and actually it was a blind overlapped with the polymorph, so Cubsy can freely trinket out of that. No big deal whatsoever. That's a fair trade, and he's able to keep his team nice and healthy so they can continue this offensive push.
I think you switch to Cubsy if you're Resurgent right now with no Glidier's Medallion. Colo wants to start it up with the Garrote silence.
Yeah.
He gives up on it, though. Majidin still being pressured. Cloud9 mix it up, going after the Mage. Trying to pressure there. Can they get the cauterize? Glider safeguard is proc. Majidin shreds through it with a flurry. Snuts is still trying to push forward, but he doesn't want to line of sight Cubsy too far, but he could get the cauterize. If he does, he's going to go for it. Shadow steps in. Can he get it? He stuns up Zach even for just a second. They get the cauterize. Are they going to get the ice block as well? Majidin's trying to hold on. They're going after Cubsy. A bit of a race to the finish. Majidin has to block. Cubsy's going to be able to recover quite easily because Majidin cannot attack an ice block. Zach's in a full polymorph. Majidin has not recovered. Cloud9 have total control right now. Snuts is looking to KO the rest of this. If they can get off that blazing barrier, if they can get any more crowd control, one more polymorph. Where's the Cyclone? They don't get it. Zach saves the day with the Blessing of Sacrifice. Now looking to charge in, stuns Cubsy. Who are they going to go after? It looks like Snuts. They've got him stunned up, but he pre-feinted the attack, reducing at least some damage. Wealthy Man takes control of Majidin with polymorph. Colo has to solo Snuts. I don't know if he's going to be able to. Cubsy's now out of the crowd control, catches a quick Sif Mend. Snuts is slowly but surely recovering and now leading the charge for the assault towards Majidin and to bring this to a game number 5. Zach uses Divine Shield to break crowd control. And with the Avenging Crusader coming up in 7 seconds, he could be doing a ton of damage. But where's the holes in the defense? There aren't any. Ironbark available. Cloak of Shadows available. Oh! Ice blocks. It's Majidin that doesn't have anything left. I think it's Resurgent that don't have anything left. Cloud9 have complete control.
Yeah, Cloud9, they're looking really good this game. There's a lot of tricks coming in from Resurgent in this series, but Cloud9, they've realized a lot of those tricks, and they've been able to handle them quite nicely. Shadow Step kick coming in from Snuts immediately on that Ring of Frost, shutting that down. Now full kitty shot, smoke bomb on to Majidin. Zach, he has to get there. He needs to land some heals, but Wealthy Man sneaks in a full polymorph, and now Majidin's all by himself. He's got the temporal shield. Is he going to be able to get it off? Dragon's Breath onto Wealthy Man, trying to slow down some of that crowd control. Zach gets caught into a bash. Every man for himself, frees him from that. And he gets out of the crowd control. Majidin should be topped off. Temporal shield's rolling. We haven't even entered dampening, and sparks are flying.
Yep, big damage here. Perfect crowd control set up once again here by Cloud9. They need to get sap. They don't get it. They go for a Garrote instead, unfortunately, but still might just be enough. Gladiator Safeguard again, procking for Majidin. He Dragon's Breath Snuts away, but Ray of Frost being channeled, gets stunned by Colo, but it's not enough. Snuts closes it out. Cloud9 tie it up. We're going to game 5.
Yeah, Zach had Trinket for that blind, I think, at the end there. Maybe a little bit greedy to sit through it, as far as I saw at least, but Cloud9 will tie it up 2-2 now, the score in this series. It really has been back and forth. It feels like, as you say, Sid, you have to take it game by game, because one game looks like it's heavily favoring Resurgent. The next one, Cloud9, has been back and forth, but it's ultimately been the same matchup, and Cloud9 were ahead in game 4.
Yep, Cloud9, they played it great, and at the end there was an opening onto Cubsy. In general, I feel like Resurgent, they need to stack their offensive cooldowns on a person that doesn't have Trinket. So they've been going after Cubsy sometimes as like they're, okay, nothing is working for us on Snuts, let's just throw everything on Cubsy and see what happens. And when you do those swaps, it's a legitimate way to win the game, but you have to stack Vendetta and Combustion, and Cubsy is playing Moonkin Affinity. He's instant trinketing every blind. Right there, he insta-trinketed that blind as well. And he's been doing that whenever they throw blinds on him. I think they should just Kidney into Hammer, use both Vendetta and Combustion, and that's basically a guaranteed kill that they can get. That's just as a side note. Of course, when the matchup is played correctly from the RMD, it's kind of hard to do that sometimes, but if you still have your cooldowns because the healer insta-trinketed, that's definitely an option for Resurgent.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is one of our first Game 5s that we've had today, maybe over the weekend. We've seen a lot of 3-0s, we've seen a lot of 3-1s. These two teams are really taking it to the final game here for our final series of the day. One of them will go through to the top 4. I think a lot of people, I think we had the chat saying about 80% in favor of Cloud9. Most people would expect it to be Cloud9, but Resurgent have been doing a really good job on this RM Paladin. Colo was even styling a little bit that game. I think he sapped a Trinket at the start of that one, really starting to show off on that rogue.
I mean, it looks like he's getting comfortable. I think what happens for Resurgent with their, their team, their composition when they play the RM Paladin, it seems like if they can stick to their game plan, things look really good. We saw in Ashen Main's Fall when things got a little bit, dicey was when you saw Cloud9 sort of switch up their strategy and go after Colo, and their game plan sort of fell apart. But when they have a game plan going in and they can execute, that's when they look really, really hot. And I'm curious to see what they're going to come up with for game number 5, because it seems like the strategies they have right now, Cloud9 is kind of figured out.
Yeah, and I mean, you know Colo quite well, right? Like, we talk about him being a very smart player. He does see the game differently, and he finds win conditions that other people wouldn't necessarily even look for. So that's one thing. But also, he is very emotionally invested. Like, yes, when things aren't going so well, maybe it can be a bad thing. But when things are going well for Colo, he will explode. He will win a cup off of something like that, even on a class that potentially he should be less comfortable on.
I mean, yeah, I think Colo, there's a lot on the line for him. I mean, they just got picked up by a new sponsor.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was issues with him in the past. I mean, when Sea-Doo sort of replaced him with Mez and Trill, obviously that wasn't the greatest feeling for him, but you have to give credit to Colo. I mean, he sort of built this roster he's on right now. They're very competitive. Right now, they're currently second on points. They qualified for the spring finals. I mean, they're doing great as a team. I'm curious to see what they come up with for game number 5. Colo, of course, like you said, sort of the mastermind, and in patch 8.2, we kind of expected them to come up with something, but it seems like this is the composition they've stuck with. I think it's a good composition. It kind of has a good shot, at least against everything Cloud9 has available right now. We'll have to see if they can win this game. If they can beat Cloud9 a second time, that's massive.
That's impressive, yeah.
Not that many teams can beat Cloud9.
Yeah.
Bring them to a game 5.
Crazy. And Hook Point, of course, is the map choice here, Sid. We talked about it a little bit. Yes, the compositions have been the same. Maybe the map isn't the hugest impact, but so far the team that's picked the map has been the team that's won the game.
I am wondering if they're going to go for the strategy that Zika was alluding to. It'd be a lot easier on Hook Point. These small maps, they kind of shore up the weakness that is Cubsy's ability to get far away. You can't get far away on Hook Point. There's just that
there is no far away.
Far away doesn't exist on Hook Point. Everything is very close together. So this is going to be the most challenging game for Cloud9 in the series easily. And Resurgent smartly saved it for their game 5 pick. They know what comp's coming at them. They know the map, and now everything is in their hands. They have the potential to take Cloud9 out a second time. Most teams can't even do it once. So I think Resurgent can do it, assuming that they play well. But if things fall apart, like you were saying, it seems like when they can do their game, they're on fire. But as soon as they can't do their game, then they totally just lost puppy dogs in a Walmart or something. Like they're just wandering all over the place. They don't seem to know what they want to do. But when they've got their game, they're gonna take teams out like Cloud9. So hopefully here they're on their game.
Well, I think all they need to do is blind Cubsy immediately. Don't go for the hammer of justice. That's like that's kind of the bait that they keep falling into. Just immediately blind Cubsy and kidney shot Snuts. Wait 1 second and then commit cooldowns if Cubsy doesn't trinket. If Cubsy trinkets, don't commit cooldowns and then commit cooldowns on Cubsy. Bop the stun on Colo. You've won the game if you do that. Other than that, I also would have preferred it if Colo went back to his Night Elf. I'm not sure. No, he swapped to Relentless, so he's human still. I like Night Elf just because you get more stealth openers, essentially, as an assassination rogue.
What I want to see, too, is when they make that all-in push on a Cubsy, Majidon has to save his Kleptomania Spellsteal for Safeguard. If Safeguard procs, Cubsy's not going to die. If he can get Safeguard off, then he's going to fall over instantaneously, especially if he's playing the Balance Affinity. So look out for Majidon to do that. Who are they going after? It looks like Snuts is actually the target of choice. Didn't get any crowd control onto Cubsy, I don't believe, and Majidon actually uses Combustion. Unfortunately, really futile, though, not able to get really anything rolling.
Smoke bomb drop, big damage. How are they going to respond? Cycloned it. Very low health. I'm surprised Zach didn't use the Blessing of Sacrifice into that. That would have been devastating, but fortunately Zach holds on, but now stunned. This is easily the Cauterize. That's the ice block. Cloud9 are all over Resurgent. They have total control. The only opening right now is no trinket on Snuts. Colo moves in, goes for the stun, but there's no crowd control on Cubsy. They had an opportunity there to make a big push, but I think they may have blundered it away. Cloud9 they're in control.
They actually used blind on Cubsy, and he just sat it because there's no combustion. I mean, I feel like Resurgent kind of threw away the opener of this game, wasting their cooldowns. There's a full polymorph over onto Zach with the Cyclone onto Colo. Majidon is in a lot of trouble. Keep in mind, he's got no Cauterize, which means he doesn't have that cheat death effect. If he goes down to 0, he's dead. Zach's going to have to keep him alive. The last lifeline is the Divine Shield ultimate sacrifice available for Zach, the Holy Paladin. Is he going to be able to keep Majin alive? Another beautiful Cyclone incoming from Cubsy. This has been great control in this game. Cubsy's trying to avoid the Hammer of Justice. Does manage to do so for a little while, but ultimately Zach finds it. Unfortunately, Majin cannot find the Ring of Frost. Blinding Light actually comes in. They need to find some damage. There's the Ring of Frost. Now it's Snuts that's in trouble. He's got no Trinket, no Cloak of Shadows. Can Colo land the kidney shot? Snuts with the defensive kidney shot onto Colo. He Trinkets out immediately. Snuts is still in trouble. There's a Polymorph on Cubsy. He manages to find the Iron Bark, but he's holding on to his Trinket. He doesn't want to have to Trinket outside of blind.
Number 1 point earners Cloud9. Game 5 against number 2 point earners Resurgent. Resurgent have a good opportunity to clamor and take the number 1 spot if they can defeat Cloud9. If they can play on their game, they've managed to at least get the cooldowns more even from such a terrible start on their part. Honestly, going so far behind, no Ice Block, no Cauterize. So this is going to be the most difficult game they've ever had to play against probably the most difficult team in World of Warcraft you could play against. So I am curious to see if they can pull it off here. Zach's in a Polymorph, Majin is in a stun. This is spelling some trouble. Colo's trying to slow it down by stunning Snuts, but Wealthy Man has free reign. Majin is so low on health. What's Zach going to do? He wants to hold on to as many cooldowns as he can. He bops the blind, but then gets spell stolen on it and silenced on the spell steal into the Cyclone. He wants to connect the sacrifice. Very close call. Now the Cyclone at low health. Cloud9 are on fire here. Snuts off the bench, warmed up and ready to go.
Yeah, this is looking beautiful for Cloud9. Cubsy actually Trinkets. They might be able to make it all in. Keep in mind, Cubsy's really vulnerable. They can hold on. They've got Combustion. They've got Vendetta. There is a possibility. Ultimate Sacrifice trades out. Now it's Cubsy that's going to be in trouble. They're committing onto Snuts, but I think they could easily take him down. If you look, Snuts, no Trinket. Cubsy, no Trinket. Right now, Resurgent can basically go after anyone they want. Who are they going to hit? Zach moves in. There it is. Hammer of Justice on Cubsy. Do they land the Ring of Frost? A beautiful game from Cloud9, but Resurgent turning it on its head. Snuts could easily just fall.
Big heal there from Snuts. Trying to stun up Colo, silence Majin, and buy time. Cubsy's in a blinding light. Zach's playing the all-in crowd control specialization. They go all in. They need to get the kill when they go all in, but they're not getting it. Snuts just refuses to die. Majin is in so much trouble. Zach in a Polymorph, but it's on diminishing return. Bit of a mistake here from Wealthy Man. Snuts in the stun, in the smoke bomb. Cubsy ducks in, connects a heal. This is match point. Cloud9 face elimination. Cubsy gets caught in a poly. Snuts is on the run. He pre-evasions. He needs to avoid the kidney shot at all costs. If Colo can connect it, it will be devastating, but Snuts has stalled long enough. Cubsy's out of crowd control. Now it's Majin who has nothing. Cloud9 initiate what could be the final crowd control chain. They secure it, but they break it. They end up, Zach Trinkets anyway. That's a big mistake by Resurgent. The Frozen Orb actually clipped Zach and broke the poly. Now he doesn't have his Glidier's Medallion. He's recklessly charging into midfield and then gets crowd controlled again. Resurgent are throwing the game at these final seconds. They're trying to pull it back together. They're trying to clamor something, but Cubsy sees it coming. He Iron Barks before the crowd control. Snuts is going to be more than durable to survive for it, but Majin's Ice Block's coming up in 10 seconds. If he can stay alive, perhaps Resurgent can pull this together. Avenging Crusader up for Zach. Maybe an opportunity for the team. There's still no Gladiators Medallions for 10 more seconds. Resurgent still have an opportunity. Why did they go after?
But he's got no blocks.
Wait, he has no ice blocks.
He's got no ice blocks.
When did that happen?
They might be able to go after him, but right now it's Zach in a full blind. Majin in trouble. Full sap coming in from Snuts. Majin trades out the ice block. He does not want to mess around. Can Snuts get the re-stealth? He's just patiently waiting. He might be able to find it if he gets
he got it.
This is really good here for Cloud9. This is the game-winning setup. Garrote silence on Majin. Can they take him down? He has the Gladiator safeguard. Now an attempt here from Resurgent. They're going after Snuts. But Snuts, I think he was able to weather the storm. He has his Trinket. He's got Cloak of Shadows rotated up. There's a Smoke Bomb kidney shot. Big damage on Majin. Ultimately going to survive off the back of that ultimate sacrifice of Zach. And Resurgent hold on.
Both teams battling it out to the bitter end. You couldn't ask for it to end any better way. Blinding Light play by Zach going in for that very extended crowd control chain. But they need follow-up. They sap off the Blinding Light. This could be good night for Cloud9. Resurgent look to take them down. They get a bit more crowd control, but it's not enough. Iron Bark is active. Snuts is likely to survive him. He's got Cloak coming back up, Evasion coming back up. It's still so close to call. There's no Ice Block now for Majin. There's no crowd control breakers for Zach. You would anticipate that Cloud9 can win in the next crowd control. They just need to lock Zach down. Zach moves into the Frozen Orb so he can break out a Polymorph. Good positioning by Zach. Majidin's defensively Polymorph, but undiminishing return. Big mistake by Majidin. Wealthy Man's gonna have free reign now. The Frozen Orb's over. Polymorph incoming. They've got Majidin completely isolated. What are you gonna do, Majidin? Zach's going to trinket out, but into another polymorph. Cubsy, are you going to move in for the game-winning Cyclone? He's a bit reluctant to, doesn't want to throw the game. Maybe he's afraid of being swapped to, wants to play it safe and slow and steady. Majin taking huge hits. Zach's trying to go for some Holy Lights, but he's got an interrupt of Snuts to deal with. He repositions away from Snuts.
Full blind, full blind.
There's no trinket, but there's evasion and cloak. I feel like Snuts should not die here. He has all the cooldowns. He just needs to activate them. He's going to evasion when Colo connects, but Cloak is necessary as well. Everything from Snuts. Cubsy is still crowd controlled. This actually could be it. The cooldowns are ending. Snuts is totally isolated. This might just be over. Can he hold on? Cubsy's out of crowd control. Ironbark's him on 10%. He's still stunned up, but he pre-fainted the smoke bomb. That pre-feint is keeping Snuts going. Now Zach's in crowd control. Majidin's in trouble, but he's got Temporal. How much is it going to heal? The Gliders Maledict absorbed most of it. He's on the run. Zach is still locked down in a full bash, and suddenly Cloud9, they turn it around. Cloud9 turn it around. How are you still alive, Majidin? Everyone just refusing to die, and Majidin holds on. No way. Absolutely.
Sack. Oh, did he clone it?
I think he cloned it.
I don't think he cloned the effect.
I think he got it, yeah.
Got the clone, here it is, damage rolling out. There's a blinding light over onto Cubsy. Snuts could be in a little bit of trouble. Majidin actually gets topped off. I think he still has the cauterize also with Snuts on the back foot. Cubsy gets the Ironbark, lands the Ironbark onto Snuts to keep him alive. Cloud9 can't believe it. They hold on, they're trying to take down Majidin. Temporal Shield's going to be available. Zach in a good position to keep Majidin alive. Hammer of Justice, kidney shot on Snuts. Is this it? There's a full sap on Cubsy. Majidin also incredibly low. This could go either way.
This could go either way in what is going to be the final seconds of the match, but right now Majidin is all alone. He's got Snuts all over him. How much longer can he take it? We're at 20% dampening. Almost both heals are almost completely out of mana. Snuts is moving forward. They're pushing. They're just doing damage. It's all damage, and it's all now. Can they take him down? No, Zach gets a big heal. Majidin gets back up. Cubsy gets swapped to. Colo's going for the YOLO swap to Cubsy, but he doesn't have Majidin to back him up. Cauterize procs. Cauterize is back up again. Majidin is just melting, literally melting. Full polymorph. How are you going to do this, Majidin? He drops a Ring of Frost around himself, so Snuts walks into crowd control. Majidin Dragon's Breath Snuts. He buys an extra second with that, but Zach is still in a poly. Avenging Crusader procs for Zach. He judgments. That gets him a big heal. Temporal is up, but it's over now. Divine Shield. Zach goes for the kill. They drop Smoke Bomb onto Majidin. There's nothing left for him. How is he still alive? Resurgent refuses to give up. Hammer of Justice down, but Majidin is just not getting healed. The dampening's too high. Zach can't handle it.
Ice block.
It's 3 seconds. It's 2
can
seconds.
he hold on?
1 second. Majidin, hold on. He's got an ice block now, but there's no mana. His health is not going to go up with no mana. What are you going to do, Zach? How are you going to deal with this? Ice block immediately after it comes off cooldown. And let's look at this. What options do you have? You got a Rogue with Trinket on Snuts. You got a Barkskin Druid, and you got a 2 ice block Mage. This isn't good
They
if
have
you're Resurgent.
sacrifice.
I mean, okay, but who do you kill?
Polymorph, he's going to get the sacrifice. Sacrifice!
Sacrifice!
He got it on the blind! Majidin's going to survive. Temporal Shield's still available. Now look, Cubsy, no trinket. Snuts, no trinket. This Snuts falls. This is absolutely insane. Resurgent going to be pulling off miracles. Can they do it? Temporal Shield, Majidin not using it. Is he going to use it? Zach trying to keep him alive. Finally,
You got Avenging Crusader?
They just need one more setup and they can win.
Go for this stun. No, I don't think so. Colo's in a Cyclone and his Vendetta. Zach trinkets a poly. They're going all in. Will Majidin fall? Ray of Frost fully channeled. Gladiator Safeguard. Procs again. Zach's in a full Cyclone. There's absolutely... How are you alive? There's no way that you should be alive right now, Majidin. Zach in a full bash. Majidin gets interrupted. He's on the run, but Snuts is in hot pursuit. He gets Dragon's Breath away, but it's not enough. Valiant effort from Resurgent, but Cloud9 come back strong with Snuts off the bench and take game 5.
I think that's the best game we've seen today. Wow, that went back and forth. It really looked like Cloud9 were going to lose so often in that game, but they were able to sail through. They had the... I absolutely can't believe it. Like you say, just words do not describe some of the stuff that went on in that one, Zika.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really nice game.
That was a good game to end the day on.
Yep, absolutely. Game 5 between the number 1 and number 2 point holder, you know. What else do we expect here? Rogue Mage, kind of mirror. It was nice, but in the end, Cloud9, they overcome the small map. They overcome a lot of the obstacles in their way, and they take the series 3-2. And Majidin, he didn't land too much CC, but he was definitely a live lord in this game. I mean, what a performance from Major and Zach to survive for such a long time. They just couldn't really land that one setup that they needed, you know. They had a couple of them, but it just wasn't, you know, super clean setups where they had, you know, a big cooldown lead. Snuts did it such a great job running around, kiting, getting defensive kidney shots, and I really like that they saved the blinding light for this final game. They didn't want to reveal it in any of the other games. They didn't pick it, and then for this game they swapped it up and they realized, hey, we can get a nice CC chain, you know, with something like a Hammer of Justice, Blinding Light, Sap, or Ring of Frost, and potentially take Snuts down that way. And they came close, but not this time around. Unfortunately for Resurgent, they are going to be knocked out here by Cloud9, and these last couple of seconds as well. Najidin, he really did everything he could to survive here, but unfortunately, that's how she goes sometimes.
Yeah, and bear in mind, the start of that game was completely awful for Resurgent. They wasted all their cooldowns without forcing anything on Cloud9. So that blinding light pick, as you say, hiding that was really smart, but they couldn't really exploit it just because their opener wasn't good. So it was amazing they managed to bring it back that much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They go for the Hammer of Justice, but Wealthy Man is already just shutting it down before it even happens, you know, because the Rogue Mage Druid always gets the opener because they have more Stealthers on their team, and the RM Pala wants to go for Snuts, whereas the Rogue Mage Druid, they can go for Majidin, sorry. So they can actually just open the game by stacking up their icicles and then just sheeping the Pali and opening on the Mage immediately when they do that. So as the Rogue Mage Pali, as Majidin, you're not going to get that first sheep that easily out of the first Hammer of Justice. So you really need to do like a Hodge into Sap, or you need to do a Blind Sap and Kidney Snuts at the same time. And then usually the most effective trade is to just trade your Trinket for that. So that kind of gives them an opener. If Snuts Trinkets, then you keep going for Snuts. If Cubsy Trinkets and you didn't invest all your cooldowns, then you go for Cubsy. So it just requires quite a bit of experience to know which call to make.
Yeah, and either way, made up for a fantastic series. The return of Snuts, and he will be through to tomorrow's bracket. We can have a look at that final bracket from today. Now, our top 4 teams that will be competing tomorrow in North America are The Move and M2KC, Peekaboo versus Jamili. That's going to be a fantastic series. Can't wait for that one. And then in the lower bracket, it's the 2 teams that really dominated the spring season, Cloud9 and the Boys. Only one of those teams will make it through to the top 3. Cloud9 with a very good series there. The return of Snuts, super happy to see him performing on the Rogue. And of course, since it's Championship Sunday, we couldn't go through without talking about Europe as well. North America's top 4 here. Yesterday, we saw the top 4 qualify through for Europe as well in the summer, for the Summer Third Cup here, Sid. And Europe as well had some really big surprises, I think, over the course of it. It's been really fun to watch 8.2.
Yep, changed my mind, I think. Changed my mind in the Move are probably some of the more happier teams overall, but Diabolus did one-up them earlier on in the tournament. Diabolus is a team that I'm not totally sold on just yet after their roster swap. I am curious to see how what I'm expecting is the mirror match against Method Black turns out. That's going to be an exciting way to have the upper final conclude if it is.